Hey guys, Chris here with the Good Old Gamer. So I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and a happy new year. It's been a little while since I've done a video, and there are some reasons for that. If you're interested, I could do a little kind of behind the scenes video, so let me know down in the comment section below. Had some real life things going on, and honestly, kind of had to put things in perspective, and that stuff was far more important. So I do want to apologize for that. But over the past few days, I've been kind of getting back into my YouTube swing. And honestly, there hasn't been too much going on. CES will be coming up soon. And I figured, hey, let's jump back into it because we should be getting some pretty interesting information here soon. But recently, I've been watching a lot of videos from Paul from Not an Apple Fan. This video right here, he actually put out today or the day of recording. And the poor guy... Paul, you look a little confused because you don't seem to understand what's going on in the graphics card market, so I decided I'm going to do a video, weigh in with my 2 cents on this particular subject. So here we go. So I didn't make any videos on the RX 5500 XT other than the official announcement thing a few months ago because I thought it was going to be a more power budget friendly graphics card than it actually is. But at the end of the day, the card is pretty much worthless, and that's what the community and everybody has said. The really big issue that seems to be bothering everybody is the price tag coming in at $149 and $199 or something like that. Honestly, I don't care about the card, so I just don't pay any attention to it. Now with the RX 5600 XT coming out and supposedly being around $299, this has really gotten Paul and probably a lot of you guys up in arms. But the big thing that I mentioned before is AMD is pretty much done playing the worst second fiddle game. Nvidia is the market leader in graphics cards. Nvidia sets the price and AMD will just slot in. Unfortunately, it is just that simple. If they're faster, they charge more. If it's slower, they charge less. They're not going to try to give you RTX 2080 performance at $399 anymore. If they had an RTX 2080, they would charge RTX 2080 pricing. They will undercut Nvidia by a few dollars if performance is relatively similar because they don't have the brand recognition, but they might only be $10 or $20 cheaper while offering relatively similar performance. And this is just the way that it's going to go. If you're upset with the way things are going, there's only 2 options, and I've been saying this pretty much since I started the channel. If you don't like prices increasing, stop buying video cards. And I'm not saying 1 generation or 2 generation. Just stop buying PC parts, period, for the foreseeable future. The other option is go ahead and use like second-hand parts, parts from previous generations when other people are starting to get rid of them. Just don't feed the beast. That is the only thing that would change this. Now, I thought that this was actually starting to happen when the RTX series cards came out and Nvidia's Q1 and Q2 earnings of this year were really, really bad. They were way in the toilet, but turns out it was mostly due to the mining craze because their Q3 earnings, Nvidia's numbers just shot right back up, and everybody vindicated the new RTX pricing at that point. So unfortunately, those that did vote with their wallets, they just couldn't hold off long enough. And honestly, anything less than about a 5-year, basically blanket boycott from the entire market, it's not going to have any effect because let's face it, for AMD, and I've mentioned this before and many people have, it's almost not worth them producing GPUs for consumers unless they're making really high margins on them. AMD made the mistake of going to 7 nanometer with this GPU lineup. 7 nanometer is simply too expensive to produce GPU dies on. Their CPUs sell for much more money and are much smaller. It makes a lot more sense to use all of that supply making more 3950Xs that they can sell to you for $750 instead of making one RX 5700 XT, which they will sell for $400. Well, those are the out-of-plant consumer retail prices. So it's even less than that. They actually make less money on both, but they make more money on those CPUs than they ever will on GPUs. So for AMD, they're doing what they need to do. They're just going to follow Nvidia to maximize margins, because if people are willing to spend that much money on Nvidia, you should be willing to spend that much on AMD. And for people out there saying that Nvidia is better at one thing or the other, they're not. They both make products that do the exact same thing. Nvidia's RTX does not matter, so we've already talked about that plenty of times. That is not a feature or benefit, because I could just say AMD has Radeon Chill. It's just a feature that doesn't really do anything, just like AMD has features that don't really do anything. At the end of the day, they both play games and both do graphics, and that's pretty much all anybody really cares about for this level of graphics card anyway. So they are identical. So performance is all that really matters. It's just price and performance. And as long as AMD offers similar or slightly better price to performance, you know, it's just up to the individual which way they want to buy. Now, these are topics that I've talked about many times here on the channel, and I know it's like beating a dead horse if you've been following the channel for a while, but this is the way that it goes. I, however, am very hopeful that things are going to be changing very rapidly here in the not too distant future. We're expecting a massive explosion in AI within the next 2 to 3 years. And when I say massive explosion, I mean internet level type technological leap forward, or possibly even larger than that. And within the next 10 years, we're expecting something so revolutionary that people can't even fathom what life will be like 10 years from now, which is literally nothing. By 2030, life will be changing at such a rapid pace that the past 20 years that we thought things were changing very quickly will basically look like we were standing still. So technology is going to advance so rapidly here in the next decade that quibbling over a few percentage points just doesn't seem to be that important anymore. So I'm not really going to be making content about that anymore at this point in time. You know, I don't care what these companies choose to charge. I'll let you know if the card's worth it, or CPU's worth it, or if any product is worth the price. That's really what it comes down to. The performance doesn't even matter. It just matters what you're getting for the price. And as long as you're getting decent performance for the price, you know, it could be a 3mm squared die with a 32-bit memory bus and 4 GB of RAM, but if it's 4 times faster than an RTX 2080 Ti, yeah, they could charge $3,000 for that. Could cost, AMD or Nvidia, let's say $1 to make the thing, and they want to charge $5,000-$6,000 for it. Yeah, it's worth $5,000 or $6,000 because relative to what was out previously, it would be worth it. So don't look at that stuff anymore, guys. I know a lot of people like to look at that to try to predict the future. The future right now is a giant question mark, and I'm not talking about way in the future. I'm talking 5 to 10 years from now. So pretty much what's coming in the PlayStation 6, that sort of level of jump is going to be ridiculous. Could be hundreds, if not thousands of times faster. We're entering uncharted territories. History has no bearing on the next 5 or 10 years. So all of the prediction models out there are pretty much wrong, assuming that this technology is coming. But considering we're going to start seeing it this year and the products are already in development, it's going to be really interesting. So I'm going to be focusing more on things like that, more interesting technologies, or things that I find more convenient. For example, I did mention that I was interested in getting this little HP thin client PC here. It's got a 2400 GE processor in there. They cost $350 to $400 on eBay, and that's a pretty cool little machine there. It's got a 35-watt TDP CPU or APU in there, and that can handle pretty much all your gaming needs if you play pre-2013 games for the most part. And it can even handle some modern games. So technology, for the most part, is going more this direction. Do more with less. Smaller, lower power, smaller profile machines. That's where I find, or that's what I find most interesting. I don't find big 3-fan GPUs interesting at all because I want my entire PC the same size as a big 3-fan, triple slot GPU. Those things are too big, they draw too much power, and they're just completely uninteresting. Now, if they come out with something that's 5 or 10 times more powerful than an RTX 2080 Ti, and yes, it's a triple slot 3-fan card because it draws 500 watts, that would be interesting and I would talk about it, but it would be a product I would never recommend to anybody. So Things are going to be changing. Smaller, lighter, more power efficient is going to be more interesting because that's where the focus is going to be. You have to remember, the PC gaming market as it is now will not exist 5 or 10 years from now. Things will be completely different and nobody can predict what it's going to be. But it's going to be interesting and it's going to be awesome. Things should be getting a lot cheaper and things should be getting a lot more compact. So that's what I predict that the next 5 to 10 years are going to look like, and I'm really interested to see what steps we're going to be seeing to get us there. So I'm really excited. I think that the 2020s are going to be great, and I think games and gaming, for the most part, are going to continue to expand because it's going to become easier and cheaper for people to get into. So while the high-end enthusiasts are upset, things keep going up and up and up in price, and they will. It'll become the audiophile sort of level stuff. That type of stuff won't be necessary anymore. I do believe that they will still be producing mid-range graphics cards, $200 to $300 graphics cards, and we will start seeing advancements in that in the not-too-distant future. Technology right now just kind of hit that sort of spot where we kind of hit a pause right before the next boom. So that's why this generation of GPUs is pretty much a pass. If you have a Pascal or Polaris GPU or better, this entire RTX 2000 series and Navi series, you should just skip anyway. It doesn't matter what you have. You have an RX 570, there's still nothing worth upgrading to. That GPU is just fine. Just continue using what you're using. Wait till the next generation. I do believe Nvidia is going to deliver a massive increase on their next generation of GPUs. I do expect that we should be seeing another Pascal level jump. So 45% jump from the Turing architecture to whatever they come out with next. I do believe it'll just be a tweaked Turing architecture, but I do expect that we see a massive increase in performance. Performance per dollar is going to be key, and the announcement of the next generation Xbox, that is actually kind of interesting, and I will do a video on that. That right there, in conjunction with the PS5, will hold prices of graphics cards somewhat in check. With the Xbox Series X GPU, if the rumors are correct that it's an RDNA 1.5 to RDNA 2, even if it's an RDNA 1 GPU with 12 teraflops, we're looking at 2080 Ti level performance. That means 2080 Ti level performance cannot cost more than about $500, which the next generation Xbox will be $500 to $600. Anybody believing that it'll be more than that don't understand consoles and are just used to being ripped off on the PC market. PC space, you can get ripped off. On consoles, it doesn't work that way. Anything above $499 isn't going to sell, no matter how powerful it is. It could be 10 times faster than an RTX 2080 Ti. If it cost $699, nobody in the console space would buy it, especially if the competitor has a $399 or $499 box. That's going to sell the most. Developers will develop for that, so there's no point in being exponentially faster than your competition. Same thing kind of goes for PC. PC gamers like to think that they need super high-end hardware. Meanwhile, developers make games for consoles, so being exponentially faster than consoles makes little sense. So that's something to keep in mind if you're looking at investing in anything. Smart move would be is wait until we get definitive proof on what is going to be in these consoles before buying your next generation system. And if you're still waiting on this generation to get good in pricing, don't. Just buy something secondhand from the previous generation, either Nvidia or AMD. AMD seems to work better in newer games. Nvidia works better in older games. Depending on what you play, choose off of that. Well, alrighty guys, that's really all I have for today. I've got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. I don't think I'm going to be doing very specific videos. I just kind of like these more free-flow videos where I can just dump out all the stuff that I'm thinking about, get your guys' reaction off of that, and then we can take it from there. So if you like this kind of video, please hit that like button, please subscribe, please share with friends. That really does help me out. And that's all I have for today, and I will catch you guys in the next video.